Recently, we got a new web event which reveals us some crazy new revelations with more to come. And so it's crackpot theory time! But before we get to it, I will lead us into it while recounting what we already know as well as some other assumptions. So, strap in. The fandom has been freaking out about the moon lore, connecting it to many previous events we have already experienced, and the potential identity of the new moon, presumably the Welcome Moon. When the eternal moon fell, the heavens and earth were thrown into chaos. When the iridescent moon shattered, the crimson shadow sank into the abyssal sea. When the frost moon ceased to turn, nations faltered and fell into ruin. From what we can presumably tell, this is just my assumption here, the three moons were created by the dragons of old to protect Tivat and its bubble, but eventually all got destroyed after the fall of the dragons. The one we saw through the hole in the firmament is most likely the iridescent moon, the only one said to be shattered. Once it's shattered, it mentions the Crimson Shadow. An interesting choice of words. We have witnessed the Crimson Moon a couple of times by now, and Conria had the Crimson Moon dynasty as well. The pieces of the puzzle are scattered around, but the full picture is yet to be seen. But the Iridescent and Crimson Moon are not the ones I wanted to talk about today. As you've seen from the title of the video, the moon that piqued my interest is the Frost Moon. So, what connection does it have to the Fatui and Project Stuzha? Let's take it little by little. In a previous event, we met a NPC named Helka, or if we were to use the Slavic pronunciation of it, I would assume that it says Gelka. Being from Not Cry, they gave us a lot of info about the life there, and we learned about people called Frost Moon Science. People who live in the wilds and worship a moon deity, building statues of it across all of Not Cry. The web event mentions that when the frost moon ceased to turn, nations fell into ruin. So maybe these guys are like ancestors of ancient civilization that fell after the end of the frost moon? I'm not sure about that, but anyway. Being Slavic myself, I can translate some names like Not Cry, for example. I'm not too sure what Nod means, but Cry, or Kraj, can be translated from Slavic languages as both land and edge. For some reason, Nod reminds me of Nord, so maybe it could be interpreted as the northern land, but also having a potential to be the northern edge, like an edge of Tivat, maybe? But I digress. Let's get back on track. So, Project Stuzha. It has been mentioned in the Arlecchino quest, and Mawika talked about it at the end of Not One Act 5. There, we also got info that the Fatui are researching ancient moon fragments that appeared in the sky. Which is presumably the iridescent moon fragments? Right now, the Fatui took great interest in moons, huh? Project Stuzha is said to be held in Not Cry, of all places. So far, we know that Dottore, Pantalone, Child Arlecchino, and the Children of the House, plus Pulcinella, are all going to be involved in Project Stuzha. So we are likely to encounter them in Not Cry when we get there. As we learned, the Torres stronghold is located in Not Cry, where presumably that project will be held. I wonder if it's a coincidence that this place just so happens to have people worshipping a frost moon deity. Okay, at this point you might be thinking that I'm stretching, but let me cook, okay? Let me cook. It's just a crackpot theory that may turn out to be true or false. We're just guessing here. The reason why the dots started to connect for me is the name of the project. Project Stuzha. Stuzha is basically translated as cold. Which makes sense with it being Fatui, Snezhnaya, and Tsaritsa, right? Well, what if I told you that that's not all? Only one word. More accurately, Stuzha translates as a very, very cold frost. So, it got me thinking, what the hell could this project even be about? Yay! Let's freeze him to the core! Don't worry though, the Thor is still gonna warm this place up so we don't get cold. In all seriousness, with how much moon content we've been getting as we approach Not Cry, and them having worshippers of Frost Moon deity, it's clearly setting up some moon shenanigans with what the Fatui are doing. I would guess that Frost Moon is the one being targeted by the Torre, given that it's still in one piece and is supposedly in the sky outside of our own. And the moon fragments can help to push his research further. There's also a mention of a mysterious power that predates the 7 elements of Teyvat, that most likely will also be a part of Project Stuzha. But we barely know anything about that to speculate on it. So, basically these are my little speculations and predictions as to what might happen in Not Cry with Project Stuzha and the Torre being involved. I know it wasn't a lot, but I hope that my knowledge of Slavic languages could help you guys to better understand the terms, the phrases, and maybe it helped you get some revelations as well. If you do have any thoughts about it, be sure to let me know. I'm really eager to discuss this lore and the potential future of Genshin with you guys. Thank you so much for making it to the end. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoyed my rant and my speculations, and hopefully you'll stick around for my Genshin journey because it's getting crazy.